Welcome back, everybody. I am Mrs. Sule, and this is our back to school presentation. I'm going to walk you through our classroom expectations, student expectations, and basically the whole back to school presentation right here at once. And so that way, when we meet in person, we can just have a meet and greet, and you have all the information that you need in one place. So moving on to our expectations of my students is I expect students when they come to school, I expect them to have their supplies at all times. And we'll go over what students are expected to have and why it is so important for them to have their supplies at all times. I also expect assignments to be turned in on time. In room 27, growth mindset attitude is a big deal. We're willing to learn every day, and more importantly, we're willing to make mistakes and smile because something was learned. When we say we don't know it, we add that dot 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 yet, or I don't get it yet. I don't know how to do it yet. But there's always that power of yet. Because we're growing every day, myself included, and I make sure that my students know that I make mistakes all the time, but that's okay because I learn from them. And that's the same thing that I want them to take away from their year here in fourth grade. Students will be held accountable for their actions and they will be held accountable for their work. I like to say it's cut off here for whatever reason. But when students are in my classroom, there are men and women in the classroom. And outside is where they are boys and girls. So when we're in class, we're being responsible. We are on task. We are having that championship culture. And when we're outside, that's when we get to be silly and crazy. And that's where we get to be boys and girls, is outside during that recess time. Rules in my classroom is the first one, there's no such thing as a dumb question. I encourage students all the time to ask questions because that's how we learn. That's how we figure things out. That's how we grow from our mistakes. Another one is we treat others how we wish to be treated. We take care of and take pride in our classroom and the materials in it. And in room 27, we work hard so that we can have fun. Going into grading, the grading scale is very straightforward. It looks very much like this. 90 to 100% is a 4, and that's above grade level. 89% to 75% is a 3, and that usually equates to at grade level. 74% or 60% is a 2, and that's maybe just a little bit below grade level. And I should specify that I should say that they almost met the standard, and that's the same thing for this. If they're at a 4, that means they exceeded, they totally understand the standard. 3 is they got it perfect. 2 is they were almost there, and a 1 is we've got a lot of work to do, and I need to make sure I support them so that they can get a full understanding of that standard. Going into homework, the point of homework is that we practice what we're working on in class. Students are going to be assigned their homework on Monday. It's going to be due on Friday. They're going to receive that packet. And again, I apologize that it is cut off here, but I'll have this linked for you so you can look through everything in case you have any questions about it. But there will be a math assignment and a spelling assignment. Spelling tests will be more of a vocabulary test as well as a spelling test. I like to say that, what's the point in knowing how to spell the word if you don't know how to use it in a sentence or you don't know what it means? So spelling tests are not just going to be focused on spelling, but they're also going to be focused on what the words mean. If students don't do homework, that could lead to lower grades, loss of privileges, and even a call home to let you know. Assessments. Now, this is the big part in fourth grade. We are one-to-one iPads, so majority of testing is going to be on the iPads. That being said, you'll be able to access any of their tests that they've done online, or if you have any questions, you can access that all through Google Classroom. And I'll be talking about that in just a minute. There will be some traditional paper pencil tests, but really we're focusing on that computer-based testing, really iPad testing, because later on in the year in May when they take the big state test, that's all done on the iPad. And so we try to line our assessments up for that so that way students are fully prepared. And this goes without saying, cheating is not tolerated in my classroom. If there is any cheating that occurs, students will get a 0 and they'll also call home to let you know what occurred in the classroom. Late work. I do accept late work. If there's an emergency, of course, talk to me. I'm completely understanding. I know how that goes, and we will work that out. If homework's not due on the If homework's not turned in on Friday, they can turn it in and get partial credit. Multiple day assignments, so like big reports and essays, that's going to go down 1 letter grade up to 3 days after the original due date. Absent work policy, if you know your student is going to be missing a large amount of time of school, please let me know so that way I can get all the work that they need. And you can also go up into the office and talk to them about an independent study program, where if your student is going to be gone for a week, the proper paperwork is done for that. If they're gone for a day, that's real flexible. If they're going to be gone for 3 days, please let me know. 3 weeks and 3 days or more, please let me know so that way I can get them the work that they need. 1 day, they're not going to miss anything super, super crucial that I can't make up with them. But 3 days, that's when we need to make sure that they get all the information that they need to be successful in the lesson that they missed. AR reading, that is fully responsible on the student. They will receive their goals at the beginning of the trimesters, and it's kind of up to the student and up to you to keep them accountable on their reading at home. We, of course, recommend 20 to 25 minutes of reading a day, but we're not including that in our homework because we found that some forgery would happen in how much reading was actually being done. So we're going to go ahead and cut that middleman out, and we're just going to hold you accountable and your student accountable for reaching that goal together. Looking at our curriculum, Sanger Unified has the guaranteed viable curriculum, and I have it right here. Well, it's following Common Core, but the guaranteed curriculum promises the community that the students at a school are going to learn that specific content regardless of the teacher that they have. And this is a link right here. So when you get the PowerPoint link or the PowerPoint presentation, you can click on this and it'll take you to the guaranteed viable curriculum page that Sanger has provided if you want to look more into that. In my classroom, we do flexible seating, and what that looks like is students can pick their different places. This is from last year's class using flexible seating, but students pick the seating that works best for them. I have a large class this year, and I find that when we get that many desks in there, it becomes really cramped and really tight, and flexible seating really allows students to pick a spot that works best for them. Instead of sitting at a desk 8 hours a day, they can move to find maybe a bouncy chair works for them. Maybe it's sitting at a low table. Maybe it's sitting in a quiet corner, but really finding what works best for them and what's going to be successful for them. So my student expectations that I will go over with them are they need to take ownership of their learning. They need to take care of materials and seating. They work with one another and collaborate. They find the best learning spot that fits for them. Now, what is also needs to be said is this is not an opportunity to visit friends. This might not be for everyone at all the time or at one time. Students cannot be disruptive with the materials or the seating, and this is a privilege that can be taken away if it's not treated appropriately. And I, of course, which they know and I will let you know, I reserve the right to remove anyone at any time if I notice that we're not using our learning spaces correctly. Supplies in our classroom. These are the mandatory supplies. Now, going back to that flexible seating aspect, students do not have desks. They will have their binder and their pencil box, and that is their desk. So it's really important that that pencil box is filled with their supplies at all times because that's what they're going to be carrying around with them every single day. So at all times in their school box, they should definitely have 3 pencils, 2 pens for correcting and editing, so like 1 red pen, 1 black or blue pen, a backpack, a 2-inch binder tabs, 2 dry erase markers, a pencil box to hold all of this, obviously, a pair of scissors, 24 count crayons or colored pencils. I like colored pencils better myself, but your choice. 2 highlighters, Post-it, a college ruled notebook, or paper to go in their binder. Double-sided tape, which we use in our interactive notebooks, so that's really important. I don't use glue anymore because that creates a big mess or the glue sticks get dry. So double-sided tape eliminates the wet glue and eliminates dry glue sticks. And then 3 wide spiral notebooks. These are for their interactive notebooks and journal. I will say I do kind of want to experiment with students, and one of the things that isn't on here that I should add is the stylus, which that is on our supply list that was sent home earlier at the end of school, is a stylus to work on their iPads. I want to try to maybe venture into them creating their own interactive notebooks on their iPads. So I'm really excited about that idea. But of course, we have just the traditional paper as well. But one thing that's not on there is that stylus to use. And I can add a link for the one that I think is best that I tested with my students last year. You can get it on Amazon, and I think they were $7. But it's going to be well used because we'll use it. Maybe your student uses it every single day. Donations in our class, things that we need all the time. And let me just specify this. I have a BB-8, so when you come into the classroom for back to school night, there'll be BB-8s there for more specialized needs like maybe football or basketball. Please know that all these donations are voluntary. We're thankful for any donations, but it does need to be said these are all voluntary. So if you feel free at Target or Walmart or Office Max or wherever, grab an extra one for us. We, of course, would be incredibly thankful. We always need binder paper or printer paper, dry erase markers or regular markers. Double-sided tape is a big one. Antibacterial wipes is also a big one. Germ season in 4th grade last year for sure hit me hard. Antibacterial wipes will never go wrong. Pencils, colored or regular, hand sanitizer, sticky notes, and Kleenex is a big one because as we head into fall and winter, classrooms go through Kleenex like nobody's business. So these are things that we do need all the time, but then please remember that these are all voluntary. Parent communication. So this is a big one. These are the two things that I use the most, which is Class Dojo and Google Classroom. Class Dojo is a messaging app that if you don't have it already, please be sure to download it. I will invite you to join our class, and I post up their videos of our classroom all the time. It's the way I communicate with you. It's the way I let you know what's going on in our class. If something is coming up or something that you need to know about, sending home flyers or paperwork that sometimes get lost in the black hole of student backpacks, all of that can be found on Class Dojo. Google Classroom is where you're going to see all of your students' work as well. Students can log on to Google Classroom using their ID number at sangerusd.net. And I'll make sure to put that down in Class Dojo so that way you know. But all those online tests that I was talking about earlier, you're going to be able to see everything that they're doing on Google Classroom. That's where these are my two major communicators. Class Dojo is more if you need to message me about something or talk to me about something. Google Classroom is where you can see all of your student work and student assessments if you need to. Now, this is the first year we have a classroom pet. I'm super excited. I did tons of research over the summer about how beneficial a classroom pet is in a classroom. It helps with student behavior, student engagement, and so I was really, really excited. In this particular classroom pet I did a lot of research on, we have a bearded dragon. So this is Leonidas, the bearded dragon. We call him Leo for short. But just to talk about this, like I said, I did lots of research over the summer. Bearded dragons, just to ease your mind if you have any questions about it, bearded dragons are known for, and it cuts it off right here, but they have a very calm and pleasant demeanor. They are highly recommended as a classroom pet. They are diurnal, which means they're awake during the day. They sleep during the night. They like to be touched. They like to be held. That being said, as with any animal, they can bite if they feel extremely threatened. And I think that goes for any animal. But they are definitely known for being super duper chill and really enjoying being a pet. Lizards also can carry germs, but I've got sanitary rules that are going to be in place. As you can see over here, any interaction with Leo, even if it is just like you put food in his cage or whatever, any interaction with Leo or Leo's food here, crickets or dubia roaches, any interaction you will need to wash or sanitize your hands. If he was at your desk needs to be sanitized as well. Really going to keep everything everything and everyone clean and make sure there's no passing of germs. But that being said, bearded dragons are hypoallergenic. They don't have any dandruff. Their cages themselves is dirt. There's no hay or allergens that they carry with them. So bearded dragons are, again, highly recommended as a classroom pet, and I'm super excited. That being said, the rules and expectations are you need to agree that your students can interact with Leonidas, and that'll be on that student on the student information Google form, which there will be a link provided for that. But just let me know if you are okay with your student interacting with Leonidas. And when I say interacting, I mean petting him, feeding him, cleaning his cage. And if you're not, that's totally okay. Just say no, and I will make sure that your student does not touch anything that Leonidas has touched or Leonidas himself. And students are not at all required to interact with Leonidas if they don't want to. That's totally up to them. However, if they do want to interact with Leo, they're going to need to help take care of him, which is really basic. Feeding him, getting water in his cage, and cleaning his cage, which again are all super easy things. Students are not allowed to touch Leonidas or Leo without my express permission. If they want to interact with Leo, they will need to help take care of him. After any interaction, as I said before, students will need to wash or sanitize their hands and or desks. Any misconduct will not be tolerated and will result in a classroom pet suspension, which means they will no longer be allowed to interact with Leo. I highly doubt that's going to be an issue, but I want to make sure that it is said I will not tolerate any misconduct with Leo at all. So that is our classroom pet. That's the end of our back to school presentation. I will have links for you to fill out all of your paperwork. I've put it all in one place, which is on the student information Google form. So you can fill all of that out instead of bringing back papers or losing papers. All of that information will be there for you. And I can't tell you how excited I am to teach your students and get to spend some time with them. Again, Classroom Dojo is the best way to get a hold of me. It messages me and lets me know right away. So if you don't have Class Dojo downloaded on your app, on your smartphone or a device, please do so, because that is the major way of communication in our classroom. And Google Classroom is where you're going to see that student work, just to clarify. So these are my two big communication ones. Class Dojo, though, is the biggie. So anyways, thank you for trusting me with your students. Again, I'm so excited about this year, and I can't wait. So thanks for stopping in.